Good morning. All right. So a little bit of selling here this morning. From what I read, more coronavirus fears. Oh, so tired of it. Anyway, good morning, Meryl. Took my vitamin C this morning and others. Okay. So starting the day with a pretty good reversal pattern here, right at Friday's low. So some support right over here, of course, as this is rolling over, which tells us a little cautious of, even though things are negative here this morning, that this could potentially flip right back up again. But as you can see, the head and shoulders type of pattern that's forming here on the intraday chart. Significant support is way down here. So we've got a void down below. And as that relates to SPX, down here, no, it's not the exact numbers on SPX, but down here is where you want to be looking for premium on the put side. Now, I would wait at least 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, to see if this holds. And if it continues to drop here, right, when it comes down here, as it comes down in this area, and we see some stabilization, right, the premiums that are here now go down below because they will increase. So here's the price support. That would be a pretty decent size move if that was to unfold here this morning, bringing this down into the area of, right, 40-ish around here. Looking in between these bars is where we can see this support. And then look further below. Your next level is down here. There's probably no premiums down there right now. And there is actually. Not much, but it'll grow. It'll grow. If this drops, this down here will grow. Right? And so then it would make sense, to sell that put spread down here at the next level of support, assuming, okay, so assumptions that we have to have here as to the plan. Prices dropped. There's premium here right now. There's support. It might just hold. The idea is as it drops down there, the premiums down here will increase. And that is where, in my view, would be more of the sure thing for a 0-day to expiration type of trade. If you want to play here, as it comes down there, I would then wait to see some pattern form, see what kind of reversal happens. And of course, some of the premium will evaporate. But right now, there's decent premium there and it will grow. So make your personal decisions at that time. So we'll see how today actually shapes up as to whether this forms a red bar. Now, it's in an uptrend. So I don't know what the end of the day is going to look like. Okay? But let's assume this does come down here. And at the end of the day, this is a bottoming tail bar. That's going to be a long. Now, again, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know if it looks like that, that is a long setup. So as we look at patterns and you get experience looking at these patterns, well, it begins to formulate as it unfolds. Well, if this, then that. So right now it's too early to know, of course, but in the latter part of the day, I'm prepared just based on today, knowing that because of this initial move up out of the base, this should not come down that deeply into here. If it does, something is very, very wrong. I mentioned this in the past as well as in the video over the weekend that when you have resting periods like this, that's what this is, a choppy resting period, and then a move, you really should not get deep pullbacks because the move just began after this long consolidation. More what we should get is, it could be a bottoming tail bar. if it's a red bar at the end of the day, well, then by tomorrow or so, we should be seeing a red bar ignored and a continuation of this trend. So bar by bar, it'll unfold and tell us what it is and what to do next. So SPX, let me see down here, suggestion area. Um, and so, and we'll see as this opens, SPX, we don't see the data, but we know that on the futures, it's down here near the bottom of this bottoming tail bar. So let's just look at spiders. That does give us an update about 378, right down there. So, 378, beginning of a breakout failure intraday, and we'll just see what happens here at the open as to where the buyers want to step up at that level and flip it back up or what. See some pretty decent gaps in some stocks, especially the extended ones, which suggest short-term tops and kind of relates to some of those ETFs. I didn't mention symbols, but mentioned in the letter some of these leading ETFs that have either Tesla or Bitcoin type of stocks as parts of them. They just were climactic sell setup. So as this morning, what's unfolding here suggests those ETFs are probably at a short-term top, and these are the stocks that have been leading, like Riot and what was it, MARA, and of course Tesla. Somebody came out. What did I read that someone who's been neutral on it raised their target to 900, which it almost hit on Friday. So what are they saying there? Anyway, so similar pattern of a reversal beginning to form here at support, and maybe comes down here before it bounces. Similar pattern there on the daily chart. And the weekly chart is way too far. Today's Monday. We got too much information to digest over the course of this week to have any idea what this will look like. But, we've got this wide range bottoming tail bar here. So, whatever happens in the short term, as long as this stays above the halfway mark here and ideally above the opening price of last week's low, overall, no serious damage being done. And so similar pattern there, a big long resting period, breakout, red bar, kind of you can see the rounding top of 3 bars here, and it's right at this low. And of course, it's got a void, you know, down into this area. There's nothing there. It can drop, and we'll see if this actually holds. Let's see if it cannot. Let's say by 10 o'clock, this cannot rally from here. Well, then odds are increasing that it's going to go further down. And the further down this goes, the less likely it is that it'll be able to recover significantly and turn into any kind of a bottoming tail bar. So as we get more information, we'll be able to figure that out. It's just common sense. As you get into this drops and you get into the latter part of the day, it's going to take a monster kind of a rally to get it all the way back. Not that it can't happen, but as time goes on in the afternoon, maybe 2:30 or so, if it can't get going or having already forms kind of a bottoming pattern, the clock starts ticking as to whether bulls really want to, bring it on at that time. So Russell, similar kind of a pattern here, breakout, and could be a 3-bar reversal. You can see the significant support that's right there, and this rounding top. So we shall see. It's going to be interesting. It's always interesting. Right? The markets are always interesting. Sometimes a little more than others. But with this wide range bar in this breakout, say this is just set up as a perfect kind of gotcha kind of a trade. If this week turns out to be a bit of a rout, and this turns out to be a breakout failure, we'll see how it unfolds. Of course, they said it's too early in the week, but this pattern is certainly one that can produce that. So you can say, well, if something was to happen, but what's the probability of it happening? Well, with a pattern like this that's created a void with this big bar and the breakout and the void that's created, the setup is there for this to happen if the selling does begin to pick up some momentum. Whereas if we had, this congestion area and then another little congestion area versus this wide range bar, the odds of that kind of a pattern happening are much lower because you've got more support levels in between. So bonds stabilizing here. You got the big breakdown. Interest rates went up. They covered yield curves in the video over the weekend. The underpinnings of this bull market are still solid, regardless of what's happening on a short-term basis. Oil down a little bit. So everything's down a little bit. Really not a big deal here in the context of this move up. But similarly, wide range bar after an advance. Now, most of the times, wide range ending bars happen after multiple bars moving up in unison, a fluid move, versus consolidation like this. That's more of a breakout or a continuation. So it becomes more and more important for the market bulls to step up here and hold this and what we call create support. To be a little more difficult from the point of view of you got nothing to trade against except intraday support to be placing those bids. We already covered SPX, Jake. Went over these levels here. Down here, there is premium. There's premium down here. So the idea was, let's see if this keeps dropping into this level, these premiums increase and then get far enough away down here where there's the next support. And we're looking at ES, but this is the plan as to, let's see if the markets continue to drop. And if they flip back up again, well, then we have to look at this level. So I don't have SPX patterns because it doesn't form, pre-market. But if the S&Ps were to flip back up to 3,800, a deep retracement, well, then look for the put spreads down here where there's premium. If this continues to drop, well, then look lower. All right, gold. A lot of damage done there last week. Let's see how that shapes up or the lack thereof in the coming weeks. And silver got shellacked too. It was looking so good, but it was at resistance. So, not totally unexpected to see some selling, but that was a lot, for it to cut back down through that move, damaged that quite a bit. And so Bitcoin backing off from the clouds here. It's a pretty big move in of itself. So a lot of selling across the board here this morning. We'll see how it all shapes up. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Perfect ending because I was going to show Bitcoin also. Do you remember in the green room, I showed the contrarian indicator from my local bartender bouncer down the street, right at the high. He's like, damn, I want to buy Bitcoin so I can have my money work for me. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. But the other point I wanted to make, Greg, and others, this is a Bitcoin ETF that has 10 currencies in it. Bitcoin obviously being the biggest one, and this one has, the title says it has 9 others. I don't know what those are. But how can this be up? Pre-market 70 cents, if that's a real print, with Bitcoin down over 10%. And we were talking about that this day. It was crazy out of whack of Bitcoin. And look what happened to it. That was the day we were having the discussion. It went from 200 to 60. Wow. All right, all our opens are fine. A couple things pulling in, obviously, but we have no disasters in terms of our new positions from the weekend letter. I canceled Neo just because the gap's excessive. Look at this. That had a bullish close. So we were going to sell a put spread and, maybe day or swing trade, but now it's gapping too much. The news is they're coming out with a new EV vehicle, I guess, to compete with Tesla. A lot of news over the weekend. Well, Tesla here, as Greg said, Bank of America upgraded it to 900. That just always just shocks my mind. This thing's rallied from 400 to 880. Did the fundamentals really change that much in 2 months that your high-paid analysts had to come out with a report? I would fire that analyst. I'd say your timing stinks. But anyway, we did a 0 DTE call spread on that on Friday. And I said in the video, I hope it opens up, gaps up 50, 100, 200, bigger the better. Because we will be shorting another call spread on you. So let's see, in the news department, and the news was just talking about this and ad nausea, shutting down Parler, a competitor to Twitter. And so now, why am I showing Tilray? I'm not Twitter, sorry. So Twitter's getting whacked here, permanently suspending Trump. And then now Apple and Amazon with their, the app and the servers are effectively, short term at least, till they find new vendors, put them out of business. So Facebook, we've been watching Facebook for a while here as a topping pattern. Look, you had this, climactic retest. Wow, I remember I think we sold a call spread on this day when it took out this green bar. But anyway, breakout failure, lower highs, lower lows, weekly rolling. So that's going to be on my watch list as a short. Yeah, so I don't know what, regulation is going to get passed, if any. But, we have different rules now. We got Democrat controlled House and Senate and president. Yeah, so Amazon, it was their S3 storage that they were using. All right, let's continue here. All right, so this thing sure popped on Friday, and it's soon, I guess I wanted to show this with a beautiful buy setup right here. I love 1, 2, 3s, quality ones. We talked about them on MT Live last week, but I also love buy setups like this that also wide range igniting out of consolidation, 50% or less pullback into a WRB. That was a beautiful intraday entry on Friday. Extended now. GovX, something got this thing roaring this morning. So you know, if that's your type of trade, put it in a 5-minute thumbnail and see what that does. Now this is maybe 30-minute low. CCL we'll keep on our short watch list. I was just looking at scanning in some of the beat up industries. This thing, a lot of gap downs here today from these vertical stocks. So bearish gap under consolidation. Let's see if it sets up for a day trade short and call spread. McGraw, I don't even know if it's optionable, but that's a good pattern. I wrote this down, VIH, because CNBC said that it's one of these SPACs, SPACs of, I think it's Bitcoin. I forget SPACs of what. So we'll keep an eye on that. You know, Mara and Riot, both have been getting pretty vertical. Now they have bare gaps. This would also be a interesting bear call credit spread. Joe, that's the word they use now, special purpose acquisition company, SPAC. Yeah, SPAC is the acronym. You can just Google it, but just think of it like a reverse merger. Instead of them going public, they're just folding into a shell corporation. AMPA was in the news about developing something artificial. The entry was back here though, and it's opening just down a little bit, but no pattern, so I just move on. Twitter we've looked at, and TUS. I think this was earnings or something, but no pattern. Earnings, STAA. So it's a bullish consolidation. It looks like it's opening down a little bit, but over Friday's high, looks fine. EXAS had earnings, gapped up, coming in, no pattern. Spine, I think earnings, no pattern, and no volume either. Guild earnings, it looks like a long-term bottom. Well, it's in a downtrend, but it looks like it's ready to bounce, but it's too extended, so no trade. Wyndham had earnings, beat up industry, totally amazing to me. The rebound in these hotel stocks. It's like, what Corona? Look at that, Hilton back to all-time highs, even though they still have whatever percent, you know, they're over 50% less occupancy. That's shocking to me. And that's why I looked at the beat up cruise ships. Here's jets selling off a little bit. We had a nice short on this sell setup right there. Now it's actually a second sell setup. Second. We'll keep an eye on that as a short. Yeah, Boeing unfortunately had a crash in India. That's a sell setup. We had a call spread on that last week. We'll keep an eye on it, maybe to do it again. Boot, that was a beautiful gap breakout right here. Just total no-brainer. Oh, Indonesia, thanks. Total beautiful. You had red bar ignored, 180, gap just over resistance, small little tail. Yeah, diamond, we have a put spread, yep. The daily, our put spread is under support, Jake. And even though, I mean, Greg reviewed everything, yeah, it's short-term pain this morning, but the daily and weeklies are fine. Jake, possibly 30-minute low. We can leg into a condor, so that's an idea. It is, yeah, it's against us, but the daily charts are still fine. CMC is a big mess. 6. Yeah, 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 I like it, Abdul. There were so many 1, 2, 3s, like the most in our weekend letter I think I've ever had. We were doing some scanning Friday afternoon, found a bunch. But so Abdul, my rule is I mean, it can go a little over 50% and snap right back. But I prefer them to hold 50%. So if that holds, then it looks really good. I had VER alarm go off. This is a short, so you can short a 5-minute low now. Oh, Thomas, sorry, I didn't see your picks. Yeah, I can look at those real quick from YouTube. Thomas was asking about pins, GE, Cisco. We can do those quick. Pins. It's a big trading range mess. I have zero interest in it myself. GE. If it holds here, it's fine. Cisco. Let it go sideways a little bit more. Then maybe it's a inverse head and shoulders for a breakout. A tick negative 1,000. Apple week. Amazon, Facebook. 30-minute low. I like Facebook over this tail. For all spread. Let me see what the juice is now. So this would be 272.50. Oh, I'm talking about news. I forgot to say the obvious one also. I put it in the letter, but just the circus on, second impeachment attempt. All right, Facebook's weak. It's 933. It's just, it's extended from its pre-market gap down. So you would need to give it a big stop, but that sure looks lower daily, weekly. It looks lower. You know how we all have some things in our head that you just remember in the stock market? I remember when Facebook went public and they had a big gap up, and then it retraced to $19 and made a reversal right there. So that was kind of its all-time low, right around 19. And look at it now. We're staring at it at 256. But yeah, I like this. I'm just gonna pick our entry and stop. Qs. It's not a textbook Bear Island reversal because of the tail.